Senator Bettencourt, you're recognized for a motion to suspend the regular order of business, take up and consider House Bill 1393.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move to suspend the regular order of business to take up and consider House Bill 1393 because it's time. It's time for Texas time. House Bill 1393 seeks to eliminate the biannual clock changes by allow Texans to observe daylight savings time year-round, known as permanent DST. House Bill 1393 will allow Texans to join 18 other states that have enacted similar permanent daylight savings time legislation. The bill will provide numerous benefits to Texans and obviously being later in the day rather early in the morning. Note that it's been quite an interesting period of time about these bills in the federal Congress. Currently, Senator Cruz has a bill up to do this nationally. Right now, the federal government does not allow the states to make this change, so this is effectively a trigger bill waiting for change with the federal government. And with that, with passage of House Bill 1393, Texas legislature will make it clear that side with a majority of Texans and will bring the state one step closer to Texas time. And with that, I move suspension of the regular order of business to take up and consider House Bill 1393.
Senator Menéndez, for what purpose?
Questions of the author, Mr.
Do
President.
you yield Senator Bettencourt?
Certainly.
You recognize Senator Menéndez.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Senator Bettencourt. Senator Bettencourt, you and I have been working on this for how long?
A decade, well, days and days, years and years.
I think I've been working on this since I was in the House, so over 10 years.
Right, we've done 10 time shifts together.
Yeah, so currently the bill that you have here says it will direct Texas to adopt year-round daylight savings time, and it only goes into effect if Congress adopts necessary legislation. Is that how it works?
Sure, that's it. And just like the bills we had last decade, this decade, this is really all waiting upon the federal government. You remember the Sunshine Act that Senator Rubio had that passed the Senate. Senator Cruz has picked this up. There is support from the executive branch for it, but there's really tremendous support for it, nationwide. And I want to thank you because we actually, I know we joint authored a bill. What year was it? 2019 or 17? And the polls are overwhelming on which way to go. We'll see what the federal Congress does, and yes, and maybe we're going to come back next session. And maybe we'll do, do another poll of the public.
Well, I think it would have been, my opinion, would have been better to do a constitutional amendment to let the voters decide if they want daylight savings or standard time. But I'm good with us going in one direction. The going back and forth is the part that makes no sense.
No, and it makes no sense to the vast majority of Texans. Yeah. And you and I have had that idea for a public plebiscite before. Greater minds than ours, maybe even Lieutenant Governor's thought of it too. And maybe we'll do that in the future. Yeah. But it's time for the federal Congress to act. That's really what the states are saying, because we'll be the 18th state saying, hey, let's make a decision with the federal Congress.
Sounds good. Thank you for picking up this bill. I look forward to supporting it. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, members.
Right. Thank you, Senator Menéndez. Thank you being for Texas time before it was cool to be for Texas time.
Senator Hinojosa of Hidalgo, for what purpose?
Well, Senator, yield for a couple of questions.
Do you yield Senator Bettencourt?
Certainly.
You recognize Senator Hinojosa.
Thank you, Mr. President. And one positive aspect of your bill, House Bill 1393, is that right now, under present daylight savings time, there's been a lot of negative impact on the health of people. Would you agree with that?
Yes, I think the lighter longer is by far the better strategy than in this modern economy and modern age. And I think that what we're, right now we're in the middle of not quite peak daylight savings time. That's actually next month. But, the time since the shift has been, much more outdoor activities after work. I think people are very used to coming home, being able to do something. The lighter earlier, really, it's very difficult to use that hour before an 8 a.m. start of school or work very effectively, but you can use the several hours later up through dusk. And I think that's why the polling is overwhelmingly, in favor of first off, it's overwhelmingly in favor of one time, And then as a sub-bracket of that, DST certainly leads, standard time.
And the bottom line is that all the studies have been done on the impact that it has on the health of people has shown that the change in time as we have it under present law has had a very negative impact on the health of people in general.
Well, I think there's no question that again, in the 21st century economy, people enjoy that extra daylight time. So, and again, this is up to the federal Congress because really now we're joining 18 states that have said we'd like this option, but it's going to take an act of the Congress to make a difference. But we're expressing our opinion at least here.
Thank you, Senator.
Oh, thank you for your opinion too, Senator Hinojosa. I know you've been supportive of this for some time as well.
Member Senator Bettencourt moves suspension of the regular order of business on House Bill 1393. There is objection. Secretary will call the roll.
Alvarado,
There
Bettencourt.
being 27 ayes and 4 nays, the rule is suspended. Chair lays that on second reading, House Bill 1393. Secretary will read the caption.
House Bill 1393 relating to daylight savings time.
Senator Bettencourt, you recognize for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move passage to the third reading of House Bill 1393.
Member Senator Bettencourt moves passage to third reading. There is objection. Secretary will call the roll.
Alvarado, Bettencourt, Burwell, Blanco.
There being 27 ayes and 4 nays, the bill is passed third reading. Senator Bettencourt, you recognize for a motion to suspend the constitutional 3-day rule.
So moved, Mr. President.
Member Senator Bettencourt moves suspension of the 3-day rule. Secretary will call the roll.
Alvarado, Bettencourt,
There being
Burwell.
27 ayes and 4 nays, the rule is suspended. Chair lays out on third reading and final passage, HB 1393. Secretary will read the caption.
HB 1393 relating to daylight saving time.
Chair recognizes Senator Johnson to speak on the bill.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, I have a feeling I'll have an unpopular viewpoint here, but I do urge you all to listen to it. Everybody hates the time change. Senator Bettencourt, you and I have talked about this a number of times. And so the question is, do we go with daylight savings time and always be an hour ahead of where we established our clock centuries ago? Or do we go back to what we've done for centuries? And I would argue that we should not adopt daylight savings time. I know it feels like it's a lot of fun sometimes, but this has been studied medically, and there is a ton of health risks. And before you pass a law that could result in the permanent adoption of this, while we have all these concerns this session about the health of our nation, consider that the American Academy of Sleep Medicine have determined that daylight savings time itself disrupts the body's natural circadian rhythms and affects sleep. It doesn't mean that you're like drowsy for a couple days after the time change and then you adapt. What they found is you don't fully adapt, and there will be a constant disruption in your sleep. Moreover, less morning light. Morning light is what we're giving up here. Decreases serotonin levels and leads the average person to get 40 minutes less of sleep. Both sides of the debate argue that the time change creates health risks, but this bill is not the solution that experts recommend. The American Academy of Sleep Medicine and Sleep Research Society and the American Medical Association advocated in 2022, not like 1922, but 2022, that a U.S. Senate bill, they advocated against a U.S. Senate bill that would have created year-round daylight savings time. Moreover, a study from Current Biology found that a stress delivery, ivory metabolism, something, would result, having to do with daylight savings time. The words don't matter. It would result in the state's residents driving to work drowsy on dark roads, which could cause an increase in traffic accidents, risking lives and costing millions of dollars. But we actually have some evidence from the past. There have been other studies that have shown kids get run over in parking lots when they're dropped off for schools because they're being taken to school in the dark. Interestingly, approximately 52 years ago, almost, maybe 51 years ago, the United States of America, this country, our country, attempted a 2-year trial run on daylight savings time. This was 1974. But the U.S. ended the practice within 1 year due to its unpopularity. Why? Kids were leaving for school in the dark. Morning traffic accidents in Florida led to 8 children being killed, prompting the governor to ask for the law to be repealed. During this, quote, trial period, public support, we're talking about polling, Senator Bettencourt, when we're talking about polling and how popular this is, public support for this change was 79%. In 1 year after actually doing it, it dropped to 42%. So anybody who was planning to vote yes, maybe this is the moment you decide, nah, let's just have the clocks be what they always were. Thank you, members.
Thank you, Senator Johnson. Senator Bettencourt, you're recognized for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to thank my House sponsor, Will Metcalf. And let's move final passage of Texas time, House Bill 1393.
Members, Senator Bettencourt moves final passage, HB 1393. Secretary will call the roll.
Alvarado,
There
Bettencourt.
being 27 ayes and 4 nays, the bill is finally passed. Congratulations, Senator Bettencourt.
Thank you, Mr. President and members.